This person falls in love with you more and more every day with this energy of desire. This is somebody that is thinking about what this love can evolve into. They are looking back at the progression between the two of you since you first met, since you first connected, and the experiences that you've had with one another in the material world. And it feels like also some transcendent experiences that have taken place within this person through the dream state, and also in kind of the in-between time. So like you get off the phone with one another, you end your chat, the date's over, you were hanging out, and now you go back to your lives, you go back to your separate realities. And this is somebody that fantasizes a lot about you. They think a lot about those exchanges. There's a lingering energy that follows them after they have parted ways with you. And this is something that has helped this person. It feels like almost that you represent sort of like a light that they carry with them, or they carry a light of your love with them wherever they go. And this has helped this person to kind of like move beyond fears of partnership, fears of being seen fully for who they are, fears that like what they are capable of as far as love is concerned, the lengths that they are willing to go to for those that they love, that in the past might have been judged by other people as kind of like not being enough, or might have been things that are kind of unconventional, ways in which they kind of just, maybe had held back or toned themselves down at this stage in their life, or like when they met you, because they had been conditioned to believe that it was kind of like an unlovable part of them, or that it wasn't enough. Your light, the lingering energy in between your experiences with one another, has helped this person to find the courage and the confidence to embody more of their whole self. It feels like there's some aspect of this person's shadow that has been demonstrated to you, and it came forth without them meaning it to for it to. And instead of like judging them or running in the opposite direction, it's almost like you held space. You wanted to know more. You were very open minded, or you had compassion for them. Or it could have even been something that aligns very much with an aspect within you that has often not been celebrated by other people, romantically speaking, and that you had kind of, trained yourself to kind of hold back on or to dismiss, or something that you'd almost like stuffed into your own shadow, that it's almost kind of like they're able to bring this part of themselves out into the light to feel very accepted in like a well-rounded way by you. And so there's been very profound changes that have happened for the better within this person since they've connected with you. There's a lot more balance. They're not as like afraid to kind of look at sort of the ugly parts of themselves in the mirror, and to celebrate that just as much as they do the beautiful parts of themselves. So this is somebody, it feels like, that is evolving behind the scenes, and they're very consciously aware of that. It's almost like even if they haven't like needed to make really big changes, it's almost like their relationship with themselves has changed. They're not searching for that best version of self. It's kind of like, this is the best version of me. And you have held space, or you've brought in that kind of like knowing inside of you. Maybe that's a realization that you have reached. You have taken certain steps. You've been on a particular healing journey or a life journey, where you're like, I accept and love this version of myself in the here and now. I'll fix what I can, and kind of just leave the rest by the wayside, and I'll continue moving forward with my life, beyond the things in the past that tried to break me, beyond the things in the past that weren't my finest hour, beyond the things in the past that were like learning curves that I needed to go through in order to come to this version of myself that understands and trusts in the wisdom that I hold inside. That is maybe something that you shared with this person. You've expressed that to this person. It might even just be something that has kind of slipped out in conversation between the two of you, or might have even just been kind of like idle chit chat. You're talking about, things that you're interested in, things that are meaningful to you, or even just the way in which you've expressed like your views on life, your world views. All of that is saturated with this like profound love of self. Even for those of you who feel like it's still a work in progress, I don't fully love myself yet, as this person sees it and as this person senses it, you have more love of self, not in an egotistical kind of way, but in a way that is very soul based than anyone they have ever encountered before. Your level of self acceptance, like at this point in your life, has been very inspiration for this person to kind of like not hold themselves back or to judge themselves as much as they may have, in the past. And so this is somebody, it feels like, that is becoming more comfortable within their own skin because you are modeling for them how to do that. And so it is this aspect at this particular point in time that it feels like this person is really like focusing on or really drawn towards, because this is somebody that sees like, you're not just someone that is good for me intellectually, you're not just somebody that I find pleasing to the eye, but you feel right for me on a soul level. Yeah, we also have Phoenix. So this is the energy of somebody that wants to accelerate this connection, take things to the next level, learn from kind of the missteps in the situation so far, maybe kind of, again, that energy where they were like holding back about themselves and something has come out that they didn't mean to kind of like share with you, or they didn't mean to show you about themselves so quickly, or it might have even been something where they're like, well, this is an aspect of me that's usually the breaking point with other people, so before I let myself kind of like fall more in love with this individual, I need to know, like, is this part of me acceptable as well? Is this something you can hold space for? And so they may have kind of pushed themselves to sort of face their fear and let something be known, and the result of that was actually like really good. It was actually really positive. It went better than they expected. And so this is somebody, it feels like, that at this point in time they want to imbue more confidence within their interactions with you. This is somebody that wants to speak life into the future between the two of you. This is somebody that it feels like they are kind of like chalking up any sort of like awkwardness that has taken place in the past between the two of you as just like growing pains. It's something that you needed to both go through in order to come to a place almost of sort of balancing out with one another, energetically speaking, so that materially your experiences with one another, like from this point going forward, can be something that is more like a conscientious effort towards love, rather than just kind of like I'm drawn to you through chemistry or through, animal magnetism or just like sheer attraction. There's almost something where more of this person wants to step forth to you. More of this person wants to embrace you. Sort of like subtle aspects, energetic aspects of themselves want to kind of be introduced, or to be kind of consistent parts of your interactions with one another. Because again, your energy, your presence, the experiences with you, even things that you've talked about that's kind of like given them something to think about, like food for thought. This is something that has kind of like helped to sort of release like a level of tension that they had been holding inside, or like self-rejection, where this is somebody that feels comfortable kind of like taking risks in this situation in order to be able to kind of showcase kind of more of who they are, more of the authentic version of themselves, or like a deeper aspect of themselves that other lovers haven't been able to kind of unlock this door within them, haven't been able to like make them comfortable enough to sort of showcase these things, or even had sort of like rejected or judged, or other lovers had kind of pulled away when there were hints or indicators or demonstrations of these aspects within them. You have shown something that is totally opposite. So it is really encouraging this person that, like, wherever you're at with one another right now, that this connection, this bond between the two of you, everything that you've established through your material experiences with one another, with the energetic experiences or things in like the astral realm or the etheric plane, just being the icing on the cake. It feels like it's something that what they're looking towards at this point in time is not just sort of like, have this feeling, I got these warm and fuzzies, I'm sort of like thinking about you in the aftermath of seeing you, and I'm all up into fantasy land and it feels really great. But there is so much that is happening materially between the two of you that this is strengthening their sense of kind of like, yeah, taking bold steps forward. This is leading in a very positive direction. There's no longer a fear of the unknown as far as this connection is concerned. This is somebody that is really trusting, almost the energy of the Fool, like they're getting ready to take that leap of faith, trusting that kind of a new cycle that they want to initiate with you is something that will bring a lot of positive growth. It will strengthen your experiences that you've had with one another so far. It's almost kind of like those growing pains. You've successfully moved beyond those. This person is settled into an energy of being very comfortable with the polarities in this connection, with the ways in which you deeply connect with one another, with your differences, with the mystery of all that still remains to be experienced and discovered, all that is known, all that you have shared so far, all of that put together is the full package. It is something that they want to experience more of. Yeah, we also have corridors. So again, this is somebody that it feels like is wanting to take very consistent steps forward, keeping their eye on the prize. And the prize in this case feels to be a long-term future with you. Something deeper than you have right now, something more stated as far as and defined as far as the nature of your connection right now. This may even be something if you've had like a big conversation recently, or they've just kind of like softened emotionally to this connection. It's kind of like, okay, I'm going to keep that in my line of sight and keep taking steps forward in the material realm with gratitude, looking at this as an abundant experience, looking at it as something very positive, not entertaining those kind of like fear-based thoughts or, instincts within themselves that had at the start of this connection encourage them to kind of like keep parts of themselves hidden. Maybe just because it was new. As we meet new people and we get to know new people, it takes time to warm up, but also in the sense of certain parts of themselves that they've been kind of like trained to reject. They'd stuffed some of their light into their shadow. And you are the individual that has helped them to realize, like, no, this has been miscategorized. These things are not like negative qualities about you, or you've brought enough kind of like open-mindedness or, kind of like balance inside of yourself to be able to hold space for, a different sort of understanding about these aspects and qualities or energies within this person that had largely been misunderstood by other people and therefore kind of like unexplored or misunderstood by themselves. And so this is somebody that sees you as kind of like good for their well-being. You're good for their health, you're good for their mental health, you're good for their spiritual health, you're good for their emotional health, you're good for their like actual health. So maybe you guys do like really wholesome things together. You've encouraged this person to start to live a healthier lifestyle or start to be more conscientious about sort of like what they're giving their time and attention to, what they're allowing to kind of enter their world, enter their reality, whether that be energies, people, places, and things. This is somebody that definitely feels like you have come into their life and you are showing them the way forward. You are walking the way forward towards almost like a better tomorrow, which it feels like is something that they have been waiting for quite some time. This is almost like an answered prayer, only they never said the prayer in the first place. But there's some part of them that is just kind of like taken sight of whatever has happened recently in this connection. And it's kind of like, yeah, this is the direction to move in. This is the thing that feels right for me. Even if I can't fully define it yet, I'm trusting in that instinct. We also have reflection. So you again have kind of like mirrored to this person some aspect as far as like owning one's shadows, owning one's shortcomings, being a very balanced and authentic person. You're like the realest person that this person has ever met. And so this is somebody, it feels like that they look at that and it's almost like, thank goodness that you are somebody that I get to have a romantic opportunity with, that it's not just like, oh, the realest person I've ever met and they're in the friend zone. This is somebody that gets that privilege to be up close and personal to you with sweet nothings exchanged back and forth. Experiences it, even if it's just kind of like you're hanging out as friends, you're hanging out as buddies, that there's still this kind of aspect of like, yeah, we're connecting on these multiple layers. And it feels like, the times where you flirt with one another, you're even able to kind of like laugh at your own flaws, or, you're maybe modeling and demonstrating for this person kind of like things that you've been through, whether you've discussed this openly with this person or it's just kind of like internal struggles or like a past that you've tried to move on from or heal from or kind of reinvent from, pick up the pieces from, whatever that looks like. It's like the light that you carry inside, that you've cultivated inside of yourself at this particular stage of your reality. This is something that is mirroring an energy of hopefulness to this person. So this is somebody that like their disposition is overall more optimistic than it was prior to you coming into their life. This is also the energy of you have helped to kind of clarify that idea, almost like the cliche of self-love, that might have been something this person kind of rolled their eyes at before, or didn't really understand. It sounded kind of cheesy, it sounded like a cliche, and so they had kind of dismissed that as a way to sort of reinforce aspects of themselves that were kind of shoved in the shadow. This is a sense of, even if you don't talk about self-love, or you're not out there sort of like love and light and toxic positivity, things like that, you're somebody that this person can see, like, yeah, you may have that optimism, you've got that love and light side of yourself, but you are also somebody who has walked those corridors of your own personal darkness. You have named those shadows, you have taken ownership over those aspects within yourself. And so this element of self-love, it comes with like an authenticity about you, and about the way you embody that. You like walk your talk that is different from other people that they might have met, that were kind of like on a spiritual path, or even if they weren't on a spiritual path, were kind of just like trying to sort of present themselves as like good people, well-adjusted people, normal people. And there's a sense of almost like even aspects about you that are very unorthodox, or very unusual, or like weird, or or kind of different than other people, or just very like basic people. That there's something where you embody that in a sense that it feels very safe, it feels very believable, it feels very like, I'm gonna have what she's having, I'm gonna have what he's having, I'm gonna lean into that, I'm gonna walk down that path, because the light that you carry within, the way that you speak life into this connection, speak life into this person, speak life into yourself and into your dreams. All of that is something that has impressed them. It's very inspirational. It's something that's really helping this person, again, to kind of like develop a better relationship with themselves. And this doesn't mean that they're kind of just all, okay, let me just hug everything to myself very close, and even the parts of me that I'm ashamed of, or that I don't like, or that I see as shortcomings. No, it's just all love. It's almost like you have modeled for this person that it is okay to kind of keep aspects of self like on a tight leash, or to kind of rein certain things in. But there's almost something where it's kind of like, even the parts of themselves that they had deemed unlovable, there's still a place for understanding. There's still a place for, almost like, without that darkness, the light would have no meaning. Without that contrast, like without one there wouldn't be the other. Without that contrast, you couldn't see kind of like the symmetry between things, or there wouldn't be the ability to kind of like have positive if there weren't negative. And so this is somebody that it feels like is developing as a person internally. And this is all thanks to you. This is thanks to your exchanges with one another, the things that you talk about, the experiences that you have. And it feels like from that place, from the material world, you are having interactions with one another in some form in the 3D sense. This is something that is then operating as a bridge into that subtle realm, into those higher realms, into that kind of connection to the higher self, that even if this person isn't thinking in terms of higher self, they are still able to kind of capture and access that higher energy, and it's coming forth into themselves. They're feeling better about themselves. They're feeling better about the nature of what they have to offer, romantically speaking. They're feeling better about what it is that they have called into their life romantically at this time, in the form of you and this connection. It feels good. Everything aligns. They are feeling like a better version of themselves. And so you have successfully modeled and mirrored to this person the potential for like a higher vibrational or a healthy connection, because it feels like it all comes down to how you've kind of created that within yourself for yourself. So you have successfully called in that equivalent, that matched all that healing that you have done, all of that effort to kind of like work on yourself, or accept the things that you choose not to work on, or can't successfully kind of like fix or change, whatever that has sort of looked like for you. That whole sort of bundled up kind of journey that you have been on, both the highs and the lows of it, all has come around to this particular point in time where you are now connecting with this person that is able to like recognize your light. They're able to kind of see the value of what it is you bring to the table, not just materially speaking, but energetically speaking. You have had a very positive effect upon them, and it feels like this is something where this is a person who really wants to reciprocate that in kind. They want to do more. They want to pour more into this connection. They want to have more meaningful experiences between the two of you, so that you can continue to walk this path with one another into a higher level experience than you've had up to this point in time. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.